I was trying to save the batteries. So, good afternoon again, everyone. Welcome to the Panama Canal presentation. This will be one of two. As I mentioned earlier, we'll have what we call the Panama Pictorial tomorrow, where I'll walk you through the canal and describe a lot of the things that you're going to be seeing and some of the activity that you'll be seeing as we make our daytime transit the following day. So, this is truly an astonishing story. It's full of political intrigue, it's full of characters, and of course, one of the most incredible engineering achievements of all time. The creation and completion of the Panama Canal, which of course, as you know, is under an expansion by the Panamanian government. The history of the Panama Canal begins with the so-called discovery of the Pacific Ocean by a Spanish explorer, Balboa, back in the year 1512. There's a statue of Mr. Balboa in Panama, and essentially we can say it did indeed all begin with him. Even after his discovery, back in the 1500s, the King of Spain ordered a survey no less for what else? A canal. Why? Well, it would be an easier way to transport goods and people across the isthmus. Well, they never did build a canal back in the King of Spain's days, but a system of trails were established by the Spanish. The shortest trail, called the Las Cruces, proved to be much safer than the previous longer one. So this was the main trail for transportation. Transportation and commerce across Panama continued over centuries. This generated interest in several countries in the idea of constructing a canal across the isthmus. They were all looking simply for an easier way to transport goods and people. Well, the United States was among the countries looking at other Central American countries for building a canal, at least somewhere in Central America, and at that time, not necessarily Panama. This is one of the few remnants left of the Las Cruces trails, called the King's Bridge. It's in Old Panama, one of the few remaining sections and the only bridge. In fact, sometimes it's referred to as the oldest bridge in the Americas. So now we have to go to 1846. Well, the United States signed a treaty with the country called New Granada. The New Granada was a huge country that was created by Simón Bolívar's success in liberating much of South America from Spain. And here you can see this is the area known as New Granada. So this 1846 treaty, well, it would later play a very important part in this intriguing tale about the Panama Canal. The country of New Granada was made up of what today is Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, and, of course, what is now called Panama. At that time, it was part of Colombia. So by this time, the United States had already negotiated treaties with Nicaragua and Honduras for the exclusive rights to construct a canal in these two countries. So in other words, the U.S. government was covering all the possibilities for the most favorable route across somewhere in Central America. Almost 2 years after the treaty was executed between the U.S. and New Granada, a significant event occurred in what is now Northern California. What might you think that was? Gold rush. January 24th, 1848. Gold was discovered along the American River in Coloma, California. The rush was on for hopeful prospectors who now were coming to this part of the world from everywhere by various different routes. So let's take a look at some of the ways they chose to get to the gold fields in Northern California. First of all, James Marshall found gold during the construction of a sawmill he was building for a gentleman named John Sutter. When word got out about the gold discovery, the famous 1849 gold rush to California was really on. So this, of course, caused an enormous amount of traffic of people who wanted to go find the gold, stake their claims, and what else? Get rich quick. Not very many of them got rich quick. In fact, not very many of them got rich at all. But they went anyhow. Sometimes I think it was the adventure as well as it was the possibility of getting rich. So again, as I mentioned, they took various routes. At first, the gold stakers took a long, difficult route across North America to San Francisco and then up into Northern California. Well, others decided to go by ship all the way around South America. I mean, look at the difference in distance from here to there. Then look at the distance we have going all the way around. And again, arriving by ship in San Francisco and going overland to the gold fields in Northern California. Well, thousands of others took a combination of sea, land, and sea journeys. They would sometimes, for example, sail from the eastern seaboard or from the ports along the U.S. southern coast. They would then take a relatively short journey across land via different routes, as you can see here, and then again continue by ship, of course, to San Francisco, which of course served as the launch pad to get up to the gold fields. Well, for many of these gold seekers, their land journey involved crossing a peninsula in the country of Mexico. Still others went across Nicaragua. And over 600,000 prospectors, or 49ers as they were known, they took the very short journey across the Panama Isthmus on the way to California. And there in Panama, they would pick up a nice little white hat with a black band on it. It became, of course, known as a Panama hat, even though they're made in Ecuador. So all this human traffic and goods, well, it resulted in an American company building a railroad across the isthmus. And this group of investors from New York City, I think they were just simply following the old cliche, find a need and fill it, and that is certainly what they did. And the Panama Railroad still operates today. It became operational in 1855. Well, the gold rush was over. That was the whole reason why they started this railroad. But the gold rush ended, and the railroad was operational by 1855, a little late for the 49ers, but it was making plenty of money anyhow. So building this railroad created new challenges for railroad engineers. They were working in a swamp. They had to deal with the rainy season. They had mudslides. And of course, they had two specific diseases of unknown cause killing thousands of men. These diseases were the major killers of 6 to possibly 12,000 workers. Records weren't kept, so it is an estimate. Well, the railroad, they ended up being, again, very successful. It was 47.5 miles long. It cost, back in that day, $8 million to construct. By 1905, it had returned dividends of over $38 million to the investors who purchased stock in the railroad. Well, stock tip for you, it's a little late. But at one time, it was the highest priced stock on the New York Stock Exchange. So it was during this general time period that a very important figure in the overall history of the Panama Canal came on the scene.